Dave, he heard your last name was Fishwick and decided that possibly there was something that might pertain to him in here. So that's why my cat
Amazing.
has joined us. Yes, yes.
What's he called?
His name is Lyric.
Lyric. Fantastic. Hey, Lyric. I'm Dave
Yeah.
from Burnley.
He's the most aloof animal you will ever see. Dave, you are so cool. I am so honored to meet you and to chat with you. This movie is incredible because I don't know why it took me so long to realize this is based on a true story.
Yeah, that's right. I left school at 16, absolutely useless, with no qualifications whatsoever. I went straight onto a building site as a builder's labourer on $50 a week. And today I'm building the first new high street bank for 150 years in Britain. And then Hollywood turn up to make a movie, a biopic. And normally when they make a biopic, you're dead, but I'm not. I'm alive.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So tell me about how, I mean, you don't just wake up one day and think, you know what, I'm going to start my own bank. How
No,
did
that's
this
right.
how did this progress into this? I mean, what was your backstory?
Well, in late 2008, early 2009, my minibus customers, because that's what I do. One of the businesses I've got is I sell buses. And my customers were coming along to me for finances. They had done for many years. We used to build the bus, we'd fill the forms in, we'd send it off to the local bank, and the bank would pay for the customer to have a bus. And overnight, the banks just stopped lending. And I'm thinking, have they done something wrong? Have my customers moved house? Have they not paid a bill? But you know what, Amanda? They'd done nothing wrong. It was just they decided the banks not to lend to businesses anymore. They just decided they could make far more money by buying fancy credit default swaps and insurance derivatives and all sorts of other financial weapons of mass destruction across the world where they can make fortunes when it goes well. And if it goes bad, the American taxpayer bails them out. So they can't lose. So why lend to a business? So that's what I decided. Well, if I believe in these people, why don't I lend them the money? So I lent them the money. They paid me back. And I thought, this banking malarkey, it's not that difficult. And that's when I thought, well, I can help other businesses as well, not just minibus people. I thought, well, I'll open a little bank to help community businesses get going. And I'll help pensioners and hardworking people get the best rate of interest. I'll then lend that money to people and businesses who can't borrow from the high street bank. And the profit after the bills are paid, I will give it to a charity. So it would just that was just how I decided to make it happen. And I just thought, well, I'll go to London. That's where all these things happen. And everybody in London said, if you try this, you'll go to prison.
Wow. So you have this idea to start a new bank, and they're like, yeah, 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 we don't do that. It's been 150 years since we've done that. And you say to them, no, but we're going to do that. I mean, how do you it's hard to fight. It's been 150 years since we've done this. I mean, how did you get the gumption to even do that?
Well, you've got to have self belief, determination, drive. You will come across lots of bumps in the road, and you've just got to get over them, through them, under them, around them. Everybody will say no. And my job as an entrepreneur is to turn the no's into yeses. I've built 6 very large businesses from scratch. I had absolutely nothing. The first business, I wanted to buy and sell cars, but I didn't have the price of a gallon of petrol. But I started a business even though I had nothing. And sometimes you just got to think outside the box. The very first business I started, I wanted to buy and sell cars, but I had no money. So I thought, right, okay, think outside the box. I went around all the local garages until I found one of them that had an old car in the corner of the garage, an old part exchange. And they said, you can take that car away, you can do it up and clean it, and you can bring us the money back. We've tried to sell it. We can't sell it. It's an old car. It's making the place look untidy. Bring us $100 back for it. After you've sold it, it's yours. So I cleaned it, I scrubbed it, I took the $100 back for them as soon as I'd sold it. The extra $30 I made on the car were mine. I did that over and over again until I could afford to learn another important lesson where I could pay for the cars up front when I'd borrowed enough cars to sell, and I could then negotiate a better deal. And I went from one car to 2 to 10 to 20 into vans, to the first van, the second van, the hundreds of vans, and then to a bus, the first bus to being the largest supplier of minibuses in the country. And that was just one of the businesses I built. So if you put your mind to it, you're going to do anything. But the bank, that has just been by far the most difficult. industry to get into, because the big banks don't want you. They dislike me with a passion. How could I possibly want to give the best rate of interest and help people? That's not
Yeah.
what they do.
Well, and that's what's baffling to me is if the banks aren't going to lend to businesses to help people, why you're not even in competition with them for what you're doing. So why are they so all up in arms about it?
Because local people, and not just local people these days, because it's now spread, people are going into their banks and saying, why can't we have the best rate of interest like Dave pays? And then we lend into people and businesses who they don't lend to. And then we've only got 4% bad debt. So 96% of people pay. And these are people who can't borrow from the bank. So we're really making them look bad. And they're not interested in doing mortgages. We do mortgages, we do loans, we do business loans. We don't just lend to a business to open. We know that when they open, they'll employ local people. And I come from a very tough place to live called Burnley. It's an old mill town. And it's a very, very tough place to get a job. So if you're opening a business there, you're going to employ 4 or 5 people in that business. So suddenly you've took 5 people off the dole. You've got 5 people back into work. Now, we've lent over $50 million to thousands of people and businesses within my community, which is a huge amount of money for such a small place. And it can work all over America in the same way. Even if people don't want to open a bank, but maybe want to open a financial institution to help people, it takes an entrepreneur that's got lots of drive and has got spare money who wants to invest into that community, whether you're buying energy or you want to open a financial institution. Maybe the guy or the lady who's the entrepreneur wants to buy a block of energy at a discounted price and then split that down so everybody can benefit a little bit from it in their community. It's just about taking control of things again. That's what it needs as a community, getting back together and working together, because the big banks are just not interested.
So I think the other key piece of this that I'm picking up from you is you have to have just bananas amount of energy. And Dave, I am picking up from you that you have said bananas.
You've got. I get up early every morning. And I take it to the max every day, because I mean, these guys, they tried to put me in prison and everything. They just threw the kitchen sink at me, as you'll see in the movie. They take me away. Because I'm helping people, so they don't want that. And now they because people like yourself keep me protected in the media. Now they don't know what to do with me now, because now it's working. And now lots of people around the world are seeing it working. And now the politicians are now starting to get on my side. And even the Prime Minister of Britain recently, in the last few weeks, if you go on my Twitter, @FishwickDavid, you can scroll down the link on there for the media page, and you'll see the Prime Minister standing up in Prime Minister's questions in Parliament, saying it's towards Dave's model we should move. And he introduced me to his Treasury Secretary, Mr. Andrew Griffiths, and his MP, Joe Gideon, who now is working with me to try and get this thing rolled out. So they're now on my side, which is marvellous. So we've gone above the regulators and above the banks and gone to the big boss, if you will. Yeah. But yeah, the movie does show a lot of the bad things that happened to me. I mean, Hugh Bonneville in the movie plays a fabulous part as one of the big bankers, where he says, Dave's not the right sort of chap, and that's what they genuinely think in real life. That's what the banks think.
So how close is this movie to, I mean, because, artistic liberties are always taken in any sort of thing, which is, entertainment, totally fine. How close is this?
Well, it's very similar to It's a Wonderful Life, is this movie. And I'd not seen It's a Wonderful Life until after I'd made the movie, because it's a wonderful American movie, as you know, It's a Wonderful Life. And James Stewart plays a fantastic part in there. But the overall theme of the movie is, I wanted to open a community bank. We've opened one. I got a lot of problems from everywhere. That's well documented. They tried to put me in prison. They try and put me in prison in the movie. I love singing in real life. I'm a terrible singer, and I am in the movie. So there's lots and lots of things in the movie that's real. They filmed in my house. They filmed in my garage. The garage you see in the movie is my own minibus garages. The house is my own home. The train station is the one where it happened in Burnley. The funeral grounds is the right one. It's Burnley Centre. Phoebe Denevar come off the $100 million set in Bridgerton, flew to Burnley the following day, and she's there on Burnley Market having a chip butty with me on a wet Tuesday afternoon, filming Bank of Dave in the real Burnley Market, in the real Burnley town centre. So there's lots and lots of the real place there, and the real where everything happened for real.
That is incredible. I was in banking for years, and I'm not going to make the broad statement that all bankers are evil because, well, I was one of them and I'm just not evil. But, but when you get to those top echelon people, the top tier of banking owners and CEOs and stuff, it's kind of criminal what goes on behind closed doors and regulations that get made to suit them. And I think it's fascinating when someone bucks that trend and they're like, yeah, but what if we didn't do that and we help people? And I could just picture all of these just really old men going, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." I mean, like that's the thing I have in my head. I mean, what is it like to meet with these people who you're just getting right under their skin?
Yeah. Well, I've met with them lots of times and they've tried to shut me down. And then in the end, now they're trying to buy me out. And they're offering me life-changing money to buy me out because they want to buy it and shut it. They're promising me they don't want to shut it, but they do really. And it's not for sale. It's not for sale at any price. There isn't a number. There isn't a number that exists. It will be there forever. It will go to my children and then my grandchildren, and it will be there doing exactly what it says on the tin. And it proves that if you put your mind to it, it will be there to be showing that other people can do the same. And there is a minority of people right at the top of banks which ruin it for everybody else. I mean, I've
Right.
got a bank manager, an old-fashioned bank manager that works for me called David H. My right-hand man, David Henshaw. And he's in his 70s now, and he's an old-fashioned bank manager. And he looks at people as people, and he's taught my team to manually underwrite, which is the business of looking at people. Maybe they've had a problem in the past. Maybe they've had a bump in the road. They've got divorced. They've maybe lost money on a credit card. They've maybe not paid a bill, but they've got over that now. And it's about teaching the team to look at people as people, because this new artificial intelligence that's coming out, which is bonkers. There's nothing wrong with normal intelligence. How can a computer 500 miles away make a decision about somebody in your town or your village? It just can't. So we need to take control back from the big banks at the top and forget about casino banking. And we need to get back to lending local people, making sure that people get their decent rate of interest. If interest rates are going up, they need to be passed on to the savers who are putting money back into the economy and into the local economy. And we need to see mortgages being affordable for young people who are trying to get on the mortgage ladder. Not giving bankers bonuses of 30, 40, $50 million. It's just wrong. What we do.
Especially,
Sorry.
no, I was going to say, especially giving those bonuses on the backs of hurting other people. Like if you're able to, I mean, this is kind of crass, but if you're able to screw this sector of people, you guys get a bonus. Like it's unbelievable.
Yes, unethical. It's
Yes.
immoral. And if bank, I understand if bank rates go up, I understand that bank rates are going to go up at some point. But then help the savers. You help the savers, which then contribute back into society. That money then gets lent out locally, and then the profit, like we do, after the overheads are paid, we feed the food banks. We've just paid for a year's supply of milk to a food bank. We've just fed children who go to a local primary school who are coming to school starving because the parents can't afford to give them 3 meals a day anymore. And then you've got on the other side of a banker wanting 30, $40 million, or he's going to go back to wherever he came from. Well, I say, get yourself gone. But they don't like me for that. That's the problem. I mean, people can watch this on Amazon, they can watch it on Apple, they see it in the cinema. But what I'd love them to do is come out and have a real feel-good feel around it, and then think, well, perhaps they could do something in their local community that could make a difference. And it doesn't have to be a bank. It could just be a small financial institution, or just help a youth club open, or a food bank, or just something that then gives back into it. And that's the start of this thing.
Microloans is basically how this starts. I mean, you
Yes.
just and those are so personal, and those are so case by case, and those are so look at the person and not the past. You were talking about credit cards and how some people may have had a mistake in credit cards. Well, when interest rates are 29%
Yeah.
on a credit card and you have good credit and it's still 29% on a credit card, you can't get ahead in this world.
No, and that's the problem. It's happening all over the world, and right across America. I was shocked how big the interest rates were, and some of the payday loan interest rates are 4,000 and 5,000%, and that's for people who are already poor to start with. So
Oh my
they
gosh.
prey on the poor and vulnerable, and this is if you took some of these tens of millions in bonuses and then helped people with microloans. I'll give you an example, a good one that's in the movie. That's a real example in real life. There's a guy in the movie, a busker, a guy that's playing his guitar with an amplifier. And in real life, his amplifier stopped working. It broke. It blew up. And if you're a busker and your amplifier blows up, you're out of business. And
Yeah.
he can't borrow any money from anywhere. Nobody trusts him. But he walked into Bank of Dave and we lent him a couple of £100 to buy another amplifier, which is about $300. And he paid back weekly. He used to come in and pay back about $5, $6 a week out of his bag and pay for this amplifier. And I see him still all the time through the town busking, and he'll shout, "How are you doing, Dave?" as you're walking past. So a microloan makes such a difference. And I've just done a local restaurant recently. I've just helped a local restaurant open, and he's just employed 4 full-time people and 1 part-time person. So that's 5 people off the door with a loan for $10,000. That is what you're looking at. You're not looking at the 10 grand. You're looking at how many people does it take off the door.
Yes.
And then smaller loans make such a difference. But that's what the big banks have forgotten about, doing that sort of business anymore. They're not interested in that sort of business because they can't make billions. And they forgot why they were put there in the first place, to help people get mortgages and business.
Well, and think about the pride of ownership that you're helping with people. I mean, they're not asking for yachts. They're asking for an amplifier so they can continue making music. They're asking for, a car so they can take kids to school. I mean, they're not asking for these outlandish, stupid things that some people don't need. They're asking for things to help them in their life and to move on. And with
Yeah.
that pride of ownership and with that need, that's why you probably have the 96% payback rate that you have, because we're not asking for a yacht.
Yeah, that's right. No, we just recently $1,200 to a guy who needed to fix his car. He needed a new engine in the car to go to work. And if he can't go to work, he can't earn the money to pay the mortgage. And then it's just he can't earn the money to live. So without these smaller loans, the micro loans, I mean, there's a guy called who owns the Grameen Bank called Professor Mohammed Yusuf, who won the Nobel Peace Prize. If you go on the Bank of Dave's website and you can actually go through the pictures, you can actually see Professor Mohammed Yusuf, who won the prize, there in the Bank of Dave. He came 3,000 miles to meet me because he liked what we do. We lend to real people. We've been going nearly 12 years and we've lent over 50 million out. So we do what it says on the tin. We haven't just popped up to make a movie. They've made a movie about us. Before the movie was made, there were a documentary series that followed me on the project because they couldn't believe that we was not going to prison, So there's all these documentaries that's been made about me, and the movie just followed that. In the end, the movie's come in the last few years, and it's just, it's highlighted it to a much bigger audience. But the problem is even bigger now than it was when I started the bank in the first place 12 years ago. Banks are still going bust around the world. It's just being covered up quicker. What we need to do is we need community banks run by the community to benefit the community rather than the bonus culture, rather than the casino banking. And then all these problems will go away and we can start rebuilding the towns across the world. And whether that's the Grameen in Bangladesh, or whether it's in Australia, where I went recently to launch the movie, or in America or in the UK, we're all the same. We're all the same.
Dave, I absolutely adore you. Thank you so much for your time. You are a saint on this earth, and I can't tell you what it means to speak with you. Thank you. And thank you for caring.
Thank you so much. And when I get out to America in the next few months, we'll come and see you, and we'll have a catch up.
Oh, I would be honored. You can come sit in my tiny home.
You can come and meet the cat. Yeah.
Yeah, he is the
We
star
come
of
and
the
make
house.
lyric.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so
Oh, you
much.
take care of yourself, my friend.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Thank you.
Bye bye now.
Bye,
Bye
honey.
bye.